Chapter 43, Power Unmatched. Previously new. Shibuki Fu thought sobbing as massive amount of chakra surged through her body. Kakuzu and Haiden stopped talking and turned their attention towards Fu. "You bastards, I'm going to kill you both," Fu shouted as purple chakra surrounded her and she entered her version 2 cloak. Now Kakuzu and Haiden watched in wonder as a purple sphere completely surrounded Fu. The ground was slight shaking and the winds were rustling through the plain field. Suddenly the whole sphere turned pitch black and large beam of energy was shot into the sky. That can't be good, Kakuzu thought as he shielded his face from the scorching winds that Fu's transformation was releasing. Roar! A massive roar was heard from inside the sphere. Both Akatsuki members flinched when they felt a massive shockwave that made the earth shake. The black sphere started receding and Kakuzu could now see 2 glowing green eyes behind the small layer that was now the sphere. The black sphere suddenly exploded outwards, blasting everything away. Kakuzu and Haiden were blown away as a small crater formed from Fu's transformation. There, in the middle of the crater, was Fu completely surrounded in a dark blue chakra cloak. She had 5 tails swinging wildly and wings protruded from her back. She was on all 4 like some hungry lion ready to pounce on his dinner. Around her blue shell was a protective layer of bones. The bones covered about half of her body. The bones were shaped like claws in her legs and around her head was a white cranium with 2 massive horns. Even through her helmet, of sorts, the 2 green eyes remained glowing in the background and shining through the bone structure. "Fu, are you in there?" Chome asked her host. Chome wondered how did Fu manage to pull so much chakra from her since the seal was still intact. Fu roared at the 2 Akatsuki members who braced themselves for their upcoming doom. Kakuzu cursed Haiden for the 1000th time. He just had to kill and bring with him a person that the Jinchuriki seemed to like, and in such a condition. "She's completely lost it. She isn't in control," Chome thought as she wrestled through the seal for control. Fu was a wild gun at this point as she was nothing but instinct. Fu was nothing more than pure destruction, lusting for revenge against her 2 enemies. Things could go really bad from here, for either the Akatsuki members or anyone that stood in front of Fu using her version 2 cloak. Fu coiled herself and leaped forward at blinding speeds. Before Haiden could react, Fu leaned her head forward and completely pierced him with her 2 horns. 1 horn in each shoulder, pinning him to the ground. Haiden screamed and tried to get away, but he wasn't going anywhere soon. Kakuzu quickly rushed his teammate and tried to kick Fu away only to be swat away by one of her tails, like some bothersome fly. Haiden was panicking and having flashbacks of his life as Fu removed her horns and secured Haiden to the ground using her tails. Haiden screamed as Fu opened her mouth and purple chakra started gathering in her mouth just inches away from Haiden's face. Kakuzu Haiden screamed in fear for the first time in his life as he watched the tailed beast bomb increase in size right in front of him. "Katan, Zukaku no Jutsu, Cranium Carver," Kakuzu said and fired a powerful fireball towards Fu. The fireball collided with Fu but got only white smoke. She didn't even bother to turn towards Kakuzu. She had just one target in her mind right now, and he was right where she wanted him. The purple ball stopped growing and with a small shockwave it compressed to the size of marbles. Fu roared and the small was sent forward, breaking through Haiden's teeth and entering his mouth. Before Haiden could process what happened, he swallowed the chakra ball. Haiden didn't have time to scream as the chakra ball exploded, lighting everything up. "Suetun, Mizurappa, wild water wave," Kakuzu said and unleashed water towards the site of the explosion to try and salvage what would remain on his partner. Suddenly a shockwave rocked through the ground and a crater formed. Chunks of Haiden's body were blasted away from the epicenter. An arm here, a leg over there, his head not too far away and his torso nowhere to be seen. It was completely obliterated. Kakuzu had his eyes widened at the state of his partner. Haiden was supposed to be immortal and indestructible. He had increased regeneration that allowed any wound to heal in a matter of seconds. But now he wasn't so sure of his immortality. Kakuzu focused his eyes on his target. From inside the smoke, the same 2 green eyes were seen glowing. Fu started walking out of the crater as her state became more and more visible. She didn't suffer any damage from any of Kakuzu's attack or for being in the site of the explosion. The only problem this time was a 6th tail that had just been formed. Kakuzu had sweat rolling down his face as he noticed the predicament he was in. His partner had been obliterated and now he was facing a six-tailed Jinchuriki who wasn't pleased with him. Even Kakuzu couldn't hope to withstand or even block a mildly powered-tailed best bomb. Remain calm, that you still have your 5 hearts, Kakuzu thought as he planned the best he could against his target, who right now didn't seem like some weak girl. "Oi, Kakuzu!" Haiden screamed and Kakuzu's eyes widened. Kakuzu slowly turned to his right to see Heiden's head screaming towards him. "Yuyuri's still alive," Kakuzu stuttered, looking at the state of his partner. "I can't die, you bastard!" Haiden shouted, slowly regenerating. He had already regained his vocal cords as his neck was already reformed. "Stitch my arms and legs back together while I heal," Haiden said, and Kakuzu got to do just that. He had his 4 masks keep Fu busy while he stitched what remained of Haiden back together. 2. Heiden's head was on the ground with 2 legs and half of his arm. Kakuzu watched in amazement as Heiden's neck was growing downwards. Suddenly the neck expanded and started forming the shoulder as it connected to the chunk of the surviving half of his arm, while the other arm was being rebuilt from nothing. Since the pieces were stitched, they just fell into their place, so to speak. RORR Fu wasn't happy that her victim survived her attack. Fu roared and all of the masks were blasted back. Kakuzu turned his attention towards Fu, who was running towards him. Fu raised one of her paws and slammed it on the ground, making a huge shockwave that pushed everything away. Kakuzu flew back while Haiden just tumbled through the ground as he was still healing. Futon Atsugai, pressurized wind bomb. The light blue mask sent a compressed airball towards Fu. The ball exploded on impact and Fu was sent tumbling through the ground and crashed into a tree. They were already out of the village since their fight began. Fu shook her head as she got up to see the grinning face of Haiden. "I can't die, bitch," Haiden shouted at her while laughing maniacally. Haiden raised his scythe and brought it down as hard as he could. Clang! The scythe collided with her defensive bones. Heiden's scythe didn't even scratch her defenses. Fu swinged one of her tails and Heiden's was thrown backwards. Fu turned her attention towards Kakuzu, who was standing still with his masks around him. 2 masks on each side with him in the middle. Katan Karyuden, Fire Dragon; Suetun Suryuden, Water Dragon; Dotun Doryuden, Earth Dragon; Futon Furyuden, Wind Dragon; Raitun Raryuden, Lightning Dragon. Each mask charged and unleashed its own version of the Elemental Dragon. The 5 elemental dragons rose into the sky, coiling themselves together. The Wind Dragon powered the Fire Dragon. The Water Dragon powered up the Lightning Dragon. The dragons roared and blurred towards Fu, who couldn't dodge in time. Boom! A big explosion was felt and Kakuzu smirked, knowing that not even Fu could escape that combination without suffering any damage. He had to thank Senju Naruto for showing him the Lightning Dragon all those years ago. Maybe he could thank him in person if he ever got the task to capturing the 9 tails. The smoke started clearing and Fu was struggling to get up. All of the bones were cracked and some even gone. Even with her chakra-reinforced blue shell, anyone could burn marks from the explosion. Haiden! Now, Kakuzu shouted as Haiden appeared next to Fu and brought his scythe down right on her burn parts. Haiden chose the burn chunks because it was where Fu was more fragile. Fu was able to dodge slightly and avoid being completely pierced by his scythe, but Haiden managed to cut her deep enough to draw blood. Haiden laughed as he jumped back. He brought his scythe to his mouth and licked the small amount of blood there was on the tips of his weapon. Slowly but surely, Heiden's skin started turning pitch black with white drawing of his bones. Haiden cut open his wrist and let blood flow out into the ground. Haiden drew a triangle inside a circle and stepped into the middle of both. Haiden took out a spear and shouted for Yujishinsama and pierced right through his chest, puncturing his right lung and nearly missing his hearth. RORR Fu roared in pain as he dropped to the ground and writhed in pain. She roared as she tried to stand back up, but to no avail. Fu started losing her cloak as the bones disintegrated into dust and her tails started receding. "Oh Lord, the pain, it feels good," Haiden said as he took pleasure in the pain coursing through his body. In the meantime, Fu's version 2 cloak completely dissipated, leaving her cloak transparent. Anyone could see the horrible state she was in. A large hole in her shoulder that was sizzling as Komiai's chakra focused solely on it. Her skin was blood red, meaning that it had been completely burned off. Suddenly the whole cloak vanished and Fu was left on the ground panting and barely conscious. I'm an idiot, why did I lose myself? Fu thought to herself. She gave in to her anger and could have gone on a rampage, destroying everything, even her village. What a mess, Kakuzu said, looking at the battlefield. Everything in a 100-meter radius was gone and replaced with nothing but death. There was no plant life, no nothing. There was nothing but destruction. Fu started saying, making Kakuzu turn to her. You have made a grave mistake, Fu said, chuckling weakly, slowly opening her eyes. You are all gonna die, Fu said, making Kakuzu raise an eyebrow. And what mistake would that be? Kakuzu asked, amused, and decided to hear her explanation. You should have knocked me out when you had the chance, Fu shouted, and faster than anyone could reacted, she took out a 3-pronged kunai from her pouch and stabbed it on the ground in front of her. Fu almost buried the kunai to the hilt from the speed and power she put behind it. Kakuzu's eyes widened when he recognized the kunai. He was quickly brought out of his thoughts when the clearing was illuminated with a yellow flash. Once Kakuzu and Haiden regained their vision, Kakuzu's blood ran cold. Senju Naruto was standing in front of them, and by the look of his face, he was pissed. His blood-red eyes were glowing and the ground was shaking from his chakra pressure. Moments earlier with Naruto Konoha's academy. Alright, quiet down, Irika said to his class, who still continued to make noise. I said settle down, Irika yelled, and everyone quickly shut up and sat down. From the hall, Naruto chuckled inwards. It looked like Irika still used his trademark jutsu. Now Irika started seeing that the class had calmed down. Today is a very special day. Today we have 3 guests that will be available for question on their shinobi duties and how difficult mission are. Irika said, and class started cheering that they wouldn't be listening to Irika for once. If you behave, they might show you a few tricks, Irika said, and was amused by their reaction. Everyone was giddy to meet these shinobi that would be teaching them instead of learning history or math from Irika. Now without further ado, I introduce you Sarutobi Konohamaru, Irika said, and Konohamaru poofed into existence in the middle of class, shocking all of the academy students, saying that he came from nowhere. Konohamaru is a Genin that graduated just last year and is already signing up for the next Chunin exams, Irika said, and the class cheered. Believe it, Konohamaru shouted, pumping his fist into the air. He's kinda cute, Hanabi thought to herself, suppressing a blush. That bastard stole my line, Naruto thought towards Konohamaru, considering putting him in at Tsukuyomi as punishment. Next we have Senju Naruto, Irika said, and the whole class gasped as Naruto appeared in a yellow flash near Konohamaru. The girls all had stars in her eyes seeing the gorgeous face of Naruto, while boys glared at him. After all, Naruto was good-looking, strong and famous. As you all know, Naruto-kun here is a Chunin, the head of the Senju clan and grandson of our Hokage, Irika explained, and Naruto nodded. And finally we have our final guest. Hatake Kakashi, Irika said, and waited. 5 minutes had passed and there was no smoke and no door opening. I'll right back, Naruto said, sighing, and vanished in a yellow flash. Irika sighed, knowing that Kakashi still had his nasty habits. Not 1 minute later, Naruto arrived with Kakashi in tow, completely wrapped with rope. Naruto. Was this necessary? Kakashi asked as Naruto dropped him to the ground with a thumb sound. Yes, it was, Naruto said, nodding his head. As I was saying, Hatake Kakashi, one of our best jounins. He is known as the copy ninja Kakashi, the man who knows over 1,000 jutsu, Irika explained, and the class got giddy at such shinobi. Too bad neither of them knew that Naruto could defeat Kakashi with a flick of a finger. Now. Are there any questions? Irika asked, and the class exploded, much to Naruto's amusement. Alright, settle down. Emi-chan, you go, Irika said, and girl nodded in appreciation. Senju-sama. Emi started but got interrupted. Just Naruto will do, Naruto said, and the girl shyly nodded. Naruto-san, I heard you were quite strong. So why are still a Chunin? Emi asked, and Irika was admired as it was a pretty decent question. It's simple, really. There are 2 ways to be promoted to Jounin. You can either get a field promotion based on the reports of your performance, or you can take the Jounin exams. The reason I'm still a Chunin is because a few weeks ago I returned from a 3-year training trip, Naruto explained, and Emi nodded happily. Next, Kimi-chan, Irika said, and the boys groaned as Irika was only picking girls. Kakashi's, and how did you get that scar on your eye? Kimi asked, and Naruto flinched as he knew the story behind that. Kakashi hummed as he closed his pervert book and gathered his thoughts. It was the first mission after my promotion to Jounin. I got slashed by a sword and ended up blind on this eye, Kakashi explained, but Kimi got confused. Blind? But your eye looks fine, Kimi said, and Kakashi shifted uncomfortably. One of my teammates died on that mission. His name was Uchiha Obito. He sacrificed his life to save mine and gave me his eye as a gift, Kakashi said, sighing and activating his Sharingan for the whole class to see. He gave me his Sharingan so he could see the world through my eyes, Kakashi stated. He was a hero, Kimi said, and Kakashi happily nodded. That is the way of the shinobi. Make no mistake, Kakashi started in a serious tone, death is a constant. The only way to survive and be strong is to form bonds. Train and fight for those you hold dear and you will achieve power beyond your wildest dreams, Kakashi said, and Naruto nodded while Konohamaru was drawing blanks. Alright, Iruka said, breaking everyone from the sour mood. Next, Jiruka, Iruka said. Finally, Jiru shouted, much to Iruka's amusement. Hey brat, how old are you? Jiru blurted out towards Konohamaru. Who are you calling a brat, brat? Konohamaru asked, fuming. You, Jiru replied. You look weak, I bet I could take you on, Jiru replied, standing from his chair. Bring it on, Konohamaru said as he placed his hands on a T formation ready to form shadow clones. Enough, Iruka stopped the growing argument and advanced towards another student. Hanabi-kun, you're up, Iruka said, and Hanabi nodded. So she's Hinata-kun younger sister. They kinda look alike. Naruto thought to himself before Hanabi drew his attention. How is Hinata so strong? Hanabi asked, and the whole class went silent. Some students muttered around asking who this Hinata was. I don't intend to badmouth your father, if I can call him that, Naruto started, and Hanabi flinched. The Juken style you are learning never suited her. The Juken style was built to work around a steady stance with quick counter-strikes. However, Hinata-kun is a water-natured user. She's supposed to flow and avoid her enemy like water finding its path. Naruto explained, and Hanabi listened. As such, Hinata-kun would never truly master the original Juken. Your father never noticed this or just didn't want to see it, so he kept pushing her towards something she would never be able to achieve. With each failure, Hayashi grew angrier at her until he was finally sick of it and expelled Hinata from the clan, Naruto said, and the class gasped, turning to Hanabi, who shrunk in her seat. You asked me how she is so strong, Naruto said, gathering his thoughts. She was always strong to begin with. She had very high potential but was being limited by your father's strict rules. Once we began training together and with a bit of incentive and compliments she found her way and built herself to all she is today, Naruto replied, smiling. He really loves her, Kakashi replied, looking towards his little brother. You should swing by the Senju compound. She would be happy to see you, Naruto said, and Hanabi could only nod. Excuse me, Hisao interrupted and gathered the attention of everyone. Who was this Hinata? Hisao asked. That would be Hyuga Hinata, Hanabi's older sister and my girlfriend, Naruto explained and sighed when he heard the pouts from some girls. I think I know a way to rid them of their fangirl ways, Naruto thought to himself as he flared his chakra. Why did you flare your chakra, Naruto? Kakashi asked, confused, but Naruto waved him off. A few seconds later everyone felt chakra usage and they could see water swirling in the middle of the room. Hinata had just arrived via water shunshin. You called Naruto-kun? Hinata asked in a soft voice. She was wearing a white medic garb that ended up just below her knees. The coat was buttoned up and looked like it might burst open from her bust. She had her hair trapped in a long ponytail. Naruto brought his hand to his nose as he didn't expect her to look so hot in a simple medic outfit. You like it, Naruto-kun? Hinata cutely asked, bringing a finger to her chin. Thumb Naruto dropped to the ground like a sack of potatoes with blood running from his nose. Hinata giggled and crouched to pick her boyfriend up when Naruto awakened and grabbed her. He leaned up and whispered, save that outfit for later, and Hinata blushed but quickly let it go as they were in front of kids. Naruto cleared his throat and the blood on his nose and turned to face the class once again. Now I would like to introduce you to Hyuga Hinata, my girlfriend, Naruto said, and the boys had stars in their eyes. Now girls, look carefully at her, Naruto said, and Hinata raised an eyebrow at what he was doing. She didn't exactly like being on the spotlight. Isn't she gorgeous? Naruto rhetorically asked, and the class could only nod. Even Kakashi, Iruka, and Konohamaru nodded. Now. What if I told you that she can give the Hokage a run for her money? Naruto said, and the class had their eyes widened. This girl of 17 was stronger than the Hokage? She's the living proof that you can dedicate your life to being a shinobi while still being beautiful, Naruto said, pecking the cheek on his girlfriend. Naruto looked backwards and Iruka sent him a thankful nod, seeing as Naruto tried to get rid of the fangirls. He's right. Nachan is so pretty, Hanabi thought as she decided she would definitely get to know her better. She was everything Hanabi wanted to be, strong and beautiful. Thank you for participating, Hinata, and Naruto said, and Hinata was in a pickle. Naruto had basically flaunted her to these kids like a piece of meat, but she knew he intended to bring these girls out of their ways so she would forgive him. See at home, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, and disappeared in a water shunshin. Now. Next question, Iruka said, and the class raised their arms once against. Kaiochin, Iruka said, and the girl squealed loudly. Dear Kami, Kakashi thought when he started hearing a small ringing in his ears. That girl would put Sakura to shame, Iruka thought sadly. Sakura was the first one to go. Can I touch your fan? Ko asked, but Naruto frowned. This fan is very special. Konohamaru suddenly walked up to Kakashi. Looks like Naruto is the center of the attention, Konohamaru whispered while Kakashi only nodded, not that he minded much. He didn't care much for glory, but neither did Naruto. And it belonged to my grandfather Uchiha Madara. Naruto finished his explanation as to why Mayo couldn't touch the fan without dying, but he took it out, showed it to everybody. Next, Isamuka, Iruka said, and the kid nodded and faced Naruto once again, who sighed. Do you really have the Kyuubi trapped inside of you? Isamu asked, and silence followed his question. I have, but why do you ask? Naruto asked, curious. How can he fit in there? Don't you get a tummy ache? Isamu asked, curious, and Naruto laughed. They are naive but funny, Naruto thought before a wild thought occurred in his mind. He wouldn't, Kurama thought as he noticed the face his host had. He is. Kurama thought as he noticed Naruto bit his finger and slammed his hand on the ground. Kuchios no Jutsu, Kyuubi no Yoko, summoning technique, nine-tailed demon fox, Naruto said, slamming his hand on the ground. Chibified version, Naruto added in afterthought as the smoke disappeared to reveal a small nine-tailed fox. Kurama was on the outside world and nothing bigger than a bunny. I'm not amused, Kurama stated as Naruto picked him up and placed him on top of his head. Class. Meet the Kyuubi, Naruto said, and the girl squealed at how adorable the little fox looked. Kakashi was just amused as to how Naruto treated a fox that could wipe out their village in less than a minute. You see that he doesn't take up much space, Naruto said, amused, and Kurama started growling much. In the end, the fox was just yipping away. Next, Ichigo-kun, Iruka said, and an orange-haired boy nodded. What's the name of your most powerful jutsu? Ichigo asked towards the three shinobi in front of them. Rasengan, Konohamaru said, making a blue ball of chakra appear in his hand. That would be my Raikiri, Kakashi replied as his hand sparkled with chakra. My strongest purely offensive jutsu would be Raitun Raijin no Ken, Fist of the Thunder God, Naruto stated. Susanoo was considered more of a shield than weapon, not that it didn't pack quite a punch. And the Rinnegan he wanted to keep a secret for as long as he could. Can you show us? Ichigo asked, and Kakashi paled. Better not unless you want to turn the village into a crater, Kakashi quickly replied as to not give ideas to Naruto, who grinned. Alright. Next question, Yuki-chan, Iruka said, and the girl nodded, standing up. What can you tell us of Uchiha Madara? Yuki asked, and everyone raised an eyebrow. I can tell you that he was bastard for controlling me, and if I see him again I'm gonna eat him, the chibi Kyuubi growled. Easy there, Kyubican, Naruto said, making Kurama glare at him. I don't know much about the man since I never met him, Naruto started. I suppose I can tell them a few things that Tusan told me, Naruto thought. For starters, he was a proud man. He was never ashamed of flaunting either his clan name or the superiority of the Sharingan. You can say that he was arrogant, but he could easily back up his words with his power, Naruto said before another thought occurred to him. Though I don't quite understand why he was called Konoha's greatest traitor. The only thing I know he did was leaving the village. That hardly calls for such a title, Naruto said in afterthought, and everyone got thinking. Naruto had a point, why Madara this great traitor when he simply left the village? Well, he did try to kill the Shodan, Kakashi stated, and Naruto nodded. Although Orochimaru left the village and tried to kill the Sandaime. Oh please, Naruto said, waving his hand. Those two hated each other, but he would have never come through with it. I heard he was big softy on the inside, Naruto said, and Kakashi had his eyes widened. Uchiha fucking Madara a softy? Kakashi wondered in thought. If Madara was a softy, then what would Naruto call a hard ass? His name alone would bring fear to every nation, Kakashi thought, shaking his head. Have you ever wondered why those two never killed each other? Naruto rhetorically asked. They fought countless times as they grew up and old, and they never killed each other. That's because, even though they were enemies, they were like brothers. Neither of them would be able to actually land the finishing blow, Naruto explained, and Kakashi stared at him. Look at this way Naruto started. Hashirama was one of the greatest medics to live. Don't you think he would be able to make sure he was dead during his final battle? He saw Madara on the ground and couldn't finish him off, Naruto explained. What more can I tell you? Naruto asked out loud before continuing. He loved his family very much, especially his little brother Uchiha Izuna, Naruto said, and the class and even Irika listened. It wasn't every day you could hear so much about such old figure. Minato's point of view flashback. Tusen, a 5-year blonde-haired kid, ran through the forest yelling to his father. Minato-kun, Madara said as Minato stopped near his father. Come look quick, Minato said, and dragged an amused Madara after him. Once they stopped running, they were at the entrance of a forest. Look, Minato said, and took a deep breath and suddenly started running towards the tree. As Minato arrived near the tree, he placed his right foot on it, sticking himself to the bark. He then continued running all the way up the tree, reaching the top. I finally did it, Minato shouted from the top of the tree. I can see that, Madara said, amused at cheerful attitude of his son, and you only took a few days. If you keep this going you will be strong as your old man in no time, Madara said as Minato jumped down and landed in front of him. Really? Minato asked hopefully. Of course, Madara said, ruffling Minato's wild hair. You are my son after all, Madara said, and both left towards their home where Hanako was preparing dinner. Tusan? Minato asked his father while they were walking home. Madara turned to Minato and motioned him to go on. Do you know why Kazan is sick? Minato asked slowly. There's nothing for you to worry about, Minato-kun, Madara said, laughing. Let's just say your mother is cooking your little brother, Madara said, amused when Minato jumped into the air at the prospect of a little brother. Minato didn't have many friends as they lived quite a distance away from the nearby town. Really? Minato asked hopefully, and Madara nodded. What's his name? Minato asked, curious about his little brother-to-be. Since Hanako-kun named you, I'll be the one naming your brother. He's going to be called Izuna, in memory of my own little brother, Madara said sadly. That bastard of my brother took out his own eyes and gave them to me, Madara thought angrily at the memory of losing his brother. Madara told him that he could still fight even when he was blinded by an enemy. Madara sighed and removed the dark thoughts of his mind, and continued making their way home. Kazan, Minato called out. Hanako turned to see both Madara and Minato arriving. She was surprised when Minato rushed her and looked towards the food pan on the oven. When is Izuna-kun finished cooking? Minato asked, and Hanako faltered for a moment before turning to an amused Madara. End flashback, and there isn't much I can tell you about him, Naruto said, although he didn't them about this particular episode as it would reveal Minato's identity. Alright, next, Irika didn't manage to finish as Naruto's head snapped upwards as if he felt something. Something's wrong. Fu just activated her marker. Kakashi, let Bachan know where I'm going, Naruto said, and vanished in a yellow flash. Kakashi hummed and thought. He never did say where he was going, did he? Kakashi asked. Back with full loop Bleach OST 9 enemy unseen. The ground was shaking as both Akatsuki members were frozen, staring at the escalating chakra of Naruto. He was pissed that the Akatsuki would dare to try and take another bijou, even more that this bijou was sealed inside a friend. Naruto was sick of this Toby fellow, and then Kakuzu and this silver guy tried to take Fu. This would be their last mistake. Naruto had just declared open season on Akatsuki, and he would personally reduce them all to ashes. Naruto didn't even spare the Akatsuki members a glance as he turned his back to them and crouched near Fu. Naruto's eyes flashed silver. Naraka path, Naruto muttered, placing 2 fingers on Fu's forehead. Naruto's fingers glowed green and Fu's skin started regenerating quickly. Her shoulder's wound closed almost immediately. Those eyes, Chome thought, in fear, to herself deep behind her cage. This human had her father's eyes. She never thought she would ever see those eyes again and, to be fair, it scared her to no end. Those eyes had no limit, they could do anything the wielder so wished. They were called eyes of the gods for a reason, they held no limit. What? Fu asked as she felt revitalized in under a few seconds. How did you do this? Fu asked curiously as she got up and turned to both Akatsuki members who had their eyes widened. I'll tell you later, Naruto said and turned around, coming face to face with Haiden and Kakuzu. Now I have a couple of worms to deal with, Naruto said darkly as a small smile made its way up his face. Kurama could feel Naruto's emotions, his thrill for battle. Ah, Haiden laughed as he regained his wits and pointed his scythe towards Naruto. Who's this pathetic mortal? Do you really think you can take us both on? Haiden rhetorically asked. Shut up, you fool, Kakuzu yelled toward his partner. He is Senju Naruto, the Konoha no Raijin, Konoha's thunder god, the shinobi no kami, god of the shinobi, and rank shinobi with a flea on sight order. But above all, Kakuzu said, narrowing his eyes at his new opponent Uchiha Madara's heir and Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko. Kakuzu said as a bead of sweat rolled down his face. Great, Haiden replied, we get to take 2 Jinchurikis instead of 1. We can kill 2 rabbits with 1 stone, Haiden laughed. He still doesn't grasp the severity of the predicament we are in, Kakuzu thought to himself. He still remembers the battle he had with Naruto 3 years ago. Even though Kakuzu was weaker by using the body doubles, he still lost, and 3 years of training could do so much. And now Naruto was standing in front of him. Patiently waiting, stoically looking at him, it scared him to no end. Haiden, Kakuzu said as he gathered his partner's attention. We are leaving, Kakuzu said and got ready to leave. What? Haiden screamed in outrage. You heard what Leader Sama said. He's beyond the strength of any of us, Kakuzu said towards his annoying partner. That fool seemed to have a death wish. They are running away just because Naruto shows up? Fu thought to herself, wondering just how powerful Naruto was to scare them off. You won't be getting anywhere, Naruto said as a very large purple barrier rose from all sides of the battlefield. You didn't think I was just sitting here still, did you? Naruto rhetorically asked, smirking at the panicking face of Kakuzu. He trapped himself with both of them, Fu thought, shocked with Naruto's boldness. Was he so arrogant that he thought he could take them both on? Or was he confident in his power? Deep inside Fu, Chome was completely focused on the battle. If this person could really wield the Rinnegan, then the Akatsuki were no match for him. Enough, Haiden shouted as he rushed Naruto head on. Let's kill the bastard, Haiden said as he jumped high in the air and swinged down his scythe. Haiden! Esta Opi, Kakuzu yelled, but to no avail as his partner charged Naruto. Haiden's scythe came down in a diagonal arc. Naruto ducked and let the scythe pass safely above his head. The scythe buried itself on the ground. Naruto swatted Haiden's hand away from the scythe and brought his knee to his stomach. Haiden's eyes popped out and he buckled in pain. Naruto caught Haiden's neck and raised him into the air with a single hand. Do you want to dance? Naruto asked with his Sharingan glowing. Haiden was writhing in pain. He tried to make Naruto release his hand around his neck, but he couldn't. Naruto's grip was too firm. Haiden just stayed there, slowly choking to death, except he couldn't die. You are either very brave or very foolish, Naruto said, laughing at Haiden's predicament. Naruto turned his attention to Kakuzu, but the man was frozen in place and could only look as Naruto slowly choked his partner. Interesting, Naruto thought as he looked towards Haiden. The man was not dying. Naruto shifted his attention towards the necklace Haiden carried. It was a hollow circle with a triangle inside. I've seen that before, Naruto thought to himself. Careful, Naruto, Fu yelled from outside the barrier. Chome says that one is immortal, Fu yelled, and Naruto raised an eyebrow looking intently at Haiden. Naruto released Haiden and kicked him the chest, sending him flying into Kakuzu. Arg! Haiden screamed in frustration as he crashed into Kakuzu. I'm going to enjoy sacrificing you to Jashinsama, Haiden yelled and turned to his teammate. Get up you pussy, Haiden said and brought Kakuzu from his thoughts. Who are you calling that? Kakuzu asked in a dangerous voice. You, Haiden said pointing at him. You froze against some teenager, Haiden explained. I froze? Kakuzu thought to himself as made sure to never repeat the same mistake. It won't happen again. We need to work together against him, otherwise we will both die, Kakuzu said, and Haiden laughed again, saying he couldn't die. I remember now, Naruto thought as he was hit with a realization when Haiden said something about Jashin. Naruto read about people that prayed to this god Jashin, and, as long they gave him human tributes, this god would grant the humans immortality and advanced regeneration. Turn him into ash and let's see him regenerate from that, Kurama suggested from inside Naruto's mind, which he agreed. Either that or I could remove his soul, Naruto replied, which the fox also agreed. Naruto would use which one came first when the opportunity presented itself. Naruto bent slightly forward before he disappeared in a burst of speed. Fast, Kakuzu thought as he brought both arms to his face in an X formation. Naruto's fist collided with Kakuzu's arms, but he was flinged back nonetheless. Naruto ducked under a horizontal swing from Haiden and channeled chakra into his wrist seal. Naruto's Chikuto poofed into existence. Naruto quickly grabbed the hilt and started channeling lightning chakra through it. Naruto did an upward slice and severed Haiden's scythe in half. The three-bladed scythe fell to the ground with Haiden only holding the now worthless metal staff. Naruto smirked as he used his Kamui and allowed a compressed wind ball to phase right through him and hit Haiden head-on. Haiden was blasted back while Naruto got away unscathed. Half a silver rib cage appeared around Naruto and a silver arm suddenly sprouted from that. Naruto's Susanoo quickly grabbed the light blue mask that sent the wind ball and crushed it into nothingness. The light blue mask fell to the ground in pieces while the black threads dissolved into nothing. Damn it! He already got one of my hearts, Kakuzu thought to himself as his masks regrouped with him. Doton Tabe Chikyu, devouring earth, Naruto shouted, slamming his both hands on the ground. Devouring earth, one of Hashirama's most powerful jutsu that he taught Naruto. The whole ground started shaking as the earth started breaking and twisting itself. The ground beneath Kakuzu and his masks exploded as several huge jaws of earth rose from the ground to devour him. Kakuzu jumped to sides and up as both he and his masks did their best to avoid being swallowed. Naruto did the jutsu and turned to Haiden. That earth jutsu should keep Kakuzu busy long enough while he dealt with Haiden. Naruto turned towards Haiden and rushed him head-on. Haiden pulled his retractable metal spear and parried as best as he could Naruto's blows. Haiden took use of his immortality and allowed Naruto to strike him. Naruto performed a downward slash, giving Haiden a large gash on his chest. Haiden took advantage of Naruto's blade being almost on the ground and brought his spear high into the air. He brought it down as fast as he could, only to phase right through Naruto and bury itself on the ground. Naruto kicked Haiden on the shoulder and he was sent tumbling through the ground. Haiden got up and looked towards Naruto, who had both hands on the ground. A golden chain sprouted from the ground near Haiden's foot. Haiden quickly sidestepped it and backflipped when another one came from the opposite direction. While Haiden was busy dodging chains, one of Naruto's clones that was powering the barrier saw a mask incoming. Since Naruto's clone had the Rinnegan active, they shared their field of vision, giving Naruto 360 degrees of vision around the battlefield. Naruto channeled chakra, the fan on his back. Gunby barrier technique, Naruto thought, and a silvery, Susanoo-like shield appeared around Naruto, blocking a lightning bolt. Naruto rose, picking up his fan and, with a quick turn, slammed his fan into the yellow mask and sent her towards Kakuzu. Time to end this, Naruto thought as he channeled more chakra into the earth. The ground shook and 10 chains sprouted all at once. Haiden didn't manage to avoid them all and ended snared to the ground on his knees. Kakuzu Naruto shouted towards his enemy as he stopped his earth jutsu and allowed Kakuzu to look at him. Look closely to your partner, Naruto said, and only raised his index finger into the air. Katan, fire style, Naruto said as a small orange light sparkled at the tip of Naruto's finger. Orange chakra could be heard swirling around his finger and started forming some kind of small sphere. Goen Rasengan, Great Flame Rasengan, Naruto said, and suddenly the ball of chakra expanded, turning almost black with the edges gaining an orange and red hue, forming a ring of flames. It was like Naruto had a mini-sun at the tip of his finger. I won't get there in time, Kakuzu thought as Naruto slammed his fire Rasengan into Haiden, who was blasted back and rose into the sky in a maelstrom of fire. Haiden screamed as he was being teared apart, limb by limb, until finally being reduced to nothing more than ashes. Naruto shielded his face from the fire tornado in the air. Suddenly the maelstrom of fire ended and there was nothing left. Kakuzu watched in fear as a few ashes floated away in the wind. There was nothing left of Haiden but ashes. He killed Haiden. With a single jutsu, Kakuzu thought in fear. What monster had they unleashed? If you poke the dragon, Naruto started breaking Kakuzu from his thoughts. Be sure you can run away, Naruto said, smirking as he made his way towards Kakuzu, who braced himself. Enten Goka Mekyaku, Inferno-style Great Fire Annihilation, Naruto said, and unleashed a wave of pitch-black flames towards Kakuzu. Kakuzu knew very well that he couldn't block this jutsu and his only choice was to dodge. His masks flew high into the air as Kakuzu sunk into the ground. Kakuzu popped out from the ground as he tried to give Naruto an uppercut. Naruto backflipped and tried a horizontal swing towards Kakuzu's raising fist. Naruto was successful and cleaved 4 of his fingers. Kakuzu groaned in pain and jumped back, regrouping with his 3 remaining masks. Kakuzu and his masks gathered their chakra and unleashed the elemental dragons. They were Kakuzu's most powerful attack that, when combined, it almost surpassed strength level. Naruto smiled and simply raised his hand facing the incoming dragons. Deva Path, Naruto said as he shifted into his Rinnegan. Shinra Tensei, Naruto said, and released a shock wave that collided with the dragons and easily dispelled the technique. Everything was blown backwards, the elemental dragons, the masks, and even Kakuzu. Kakuzu spat blood to the ground and shakily got up, only to take a step back when he looked into Naruto's eyes. T-the-Ririan and Egand, it cannot be. He has the same eyes as Leader Sama, Kakuzu thought as with heart going a mile a minute until a realization hit him. The girl was right. We are all dead, man walking, Kakuzu thought to himself, chuckling and accepting his fate. Several chains shot from the ground, snaring everyone to the ground. The masks were squirming and trying to get free, but to no avail. To think you had the Rinnegan, Kakuzu chuckled as he tried to raise his head and meet Naruto in the eye. Naruto wasn't tired or even injured. All of this was a mistake. He truly is beyond any of us, Kakuzu thought as he watched Naruto extend his right hand forward, with the palm facing upwards. Jurioten, gravity release, Naruto said as purple chakra started swirling in his hand. Moments later, a small pitch-black sphere formed on his palm. Around the sphere, series of white rings started appearing, orbiting the black sphere. The rings started aligning themselves into a one disc-like shape around the orb. It seemed that Naruto had a black planet in his hand with planetary rings around it, either that or a black hole. Raisin Ringu, spiraling fear wheel, 1, Naruto said, and didn't even need to throw the sphere. The new Rasengan simply levitated from his hand and flew with high speeds towards the pinned-down Kakuzu and his masks. Kakuzu watched in wonder, the last thing he would see. As the orb arrived near the enemy, it suddenly expanded in a maelstrom of blackness. The Rasengan expanded and started absorbing and pulling everything towards the center. It really was like a black hole, swallowing everything in his reach. The black hole kept swirling and dragging the masks that tried to fly away. Kakuzu was long gone inside the sphere of doom. The wind was swirling towards the black hole in the middle of the clearing. Rocks and trees were ripped out from the ground due to the attractive force, and lost within it. Nothing within 10 meters range from the black hole could ever hope to escape it. Amazing thought watching the jutsu Naruto had unleashed. She had never seen such jutsu on her life that she wondered if that was ninjutsu to begin with. Once the 3 masks had been pulled, the black dome started expanding, eating up part of the terrain and almost tripling in size. Suddenly, like a flash before anyone's eyes, the black dome imploded and disappeared, leaving nothing behind but a crater that it had created. 2 down, Naruto said as he dispelled his clones and the barrier around the field was dropped. Naruto approached Fu, who had her jaw on the ground at Naruto's display of power. I should have called you sooner, Fu muttered. Yes, Naruto said, nodding his head. You should have. I spent the last 3 years preparing myself for them, Naruto said, and watched as Fu slowly walked up to Shibuki's body and fall to her knees crying. I guess he was important to you, Naruto softly said, placing a hand on her shoulder. He was the only one that liked me. Fu sobbed at the loss of her only friend in this village. What I'm about to do, Naruto said, making her face him to hear the seriousness of his voice. Tell no one about it, understand? Naruto asked, and Fu quickly nodded, not knowing what he was going to do. Ram snake. Naruto made 2 hand seals before he closed his eyes and concentrated. It can't be, Chome thought in disbelief, from inside her host as she watched the events unfold. Geto, outer path, Rinne Tensei no Jutsu, Samsara of heavenly life technique, Naruto said as he started emanating green light. Naruto placed his hand on Shibuki's chest and his body was covered in a green light from head to toe. A few seconds later, the green aura died down and Shibuki started to stir. Fu had her eyes widened when she noticed Shibuki opening his eyes. He was dead, I'm sure of it, Fu thought to herself, helping Shibuki up and looking towards Naruto, who had opened his eyes to show his Rinnegan. Fuyuchan.do not underestimate the power of those eyes, Chome warned from inside her host. With the Rinnegan, Naruto can do anything he wishes. You are as close to a god as you will ever be, Chome said, and Fu slowly nodded. What happened? Shibuki asked as he raised to his feet. The last thing I remember was that silver-haired guy becoming all black and white, Shibuki explained and looked towards Fu, who was wiping away a few tears. You were unconscious from the fight. I called Naruto to help, and once he defeated them he healed you, Fu explained discreetly, looking towards Naruto, who nodded. Well then, that you have my deepest thanks, Naruto-san. You not only saved my village but also Fuchin, Shibuki said, giving a small bow as a thank you. Take Fu and go rest. There is something I have to do first. I'll catch up with you later, Naruto said, and both Shibuki and Fu nodded and left towards the village. Once they were gone, Naruto walked to the middle of the battlefield and crouched near the fingers of Kakuzu that he had sliced earlier. In the middle of the fight, Kakuzu's ring started emanating chakra. It was strange for a ring to give off chakra. Naruto picked up the finger and slowly removed his ring. Naruto turned to ring and noticed the kanji 4 north in it. Not being someone to back down, Naruto placed the ring on his hand and his consciousness was immediately shifted to someplace else. Akatsuki hideout. All of the 8 members were gathered together as they waited for Kakuzu and Haiden to arrive with Fu, the Jinchuriki of the Nanabai. Kakuzu had sent a message saying that he found the Jinchuriki and that he would proceed with her capture. What's the status of your searches? Pain asked as they patiently waited for Kakuzu and Haiden to arrive at their location. Yeah, that we have located the Jinchuriki of the Rokubi Utakata. I believe he's called Deidara said, and Pain nodded. What about the Sanbai? Pain asked. According to my spies, Sasori started, the Sanbai is hiding in the lakes around the islands of the Mist Village. If my information is right, after the Kyuubi Jinchuriki defeated Yagura, the Sanbai was released, but he didn't seal it, Sasori explained, and Pain narrowed his eyes. You mean to tell me there is a bijou out there without a host? Pain asked, and Sasori nodded. It could prove more difficult to subdue as bijous without hosts have full access to their abilities. Interesting, Kisame commented. Who's the new Mizukage? Kisame asked, curious. Mei Terumi was named the 5th Mizukage shortly after Yagura's defeat, Sasori replied, and Kisame frowned. They won't seal the Sanbai then. The Kyuubi brat left the Sanbai without a host for a reason, and most likely Mei agreed to it. The turtle won't be sealed. Kisame explained. It matters not. I'll capture it myself if need be, Pain said, and turned towards Itachi. What about the Gobi and Yanbi? Pain asked, and Itachi simply opened his eyes to reveal his blood-red Sharingan. Both of Iwa's Jinchurikis have Sannin travel rights. They are loyal to their villages but don't have a fixed location. We have the Yanbi's location, but the Gobi still eludes us, Itachi stoically replied. Zetsu, work on tracking down the Gobi, Pain ordered. Yes, Leader-sama, Zetsu replied. In the meantime, Itachi and Kisame will proceed with the Yanbi's capture. Deidara and Sasori will proceed with Utakata's capture, Pain ordered, and both parties nodded. Gah, Kisame shouted, what's taking them so long? Kisame asked as he was bored out of his mind. Pain's eye twitched as he was also tired of waiting for them to deliver. Zetsu, Pain called out. Yes, Leader-sama, the white Zetsu replied. Go find out why they are taking so long, will you, Pain said in a bored tone. Yes, lead, they will not be coming. Everyone flinched at the new voice. All Akatsuki members shifted their attention from Zetsu and towards the newcomer who was standing in the place of Kakuzu. The new holographic image had long blonde, waist-length, spiky hair with fangs that framed his face and partially covered his right eye. He also had 3 distinctive whiskers marks on each cheek. On his back he had a wide fan with 3 blood-red tomos on each side. It had a long handle with bandages wrapped around the base. The main part of the weapon was light brown with the edges being black. Let's talk, Naruto said, smirking with his Sharingan glowing and looking at the shocked faces of every Akatsuki member. Chapter 44, The Real Hunter. Previously, they will not be coming. Everyone flinched at the new voice. All Akatsuki members shifted their attention from Zetsu and towards the newcomer who was standing in the place of Kakuzu. The new holographic image had long blonde, waist-length, spiky hair with fangs that framed his face and partially covered his right eye. He also had 3 distinctive whiskers marks on each cheek. On his back he had a wide fan with 3 blood-red tomos on each side. It had a long handle with bandages wrapped around the base. The main part of the weapon was light brown with the edges being black. Let's talk, Naruto said, smirking with his Sharingan glowing and looking at the shocked faces of every Akatsuki member. Now Naruto was standing in front of his supposed hunters. Everyone looked shocked at the presence of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, although the stoic Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but manage a small smile. They were all holograms with the exception of Tobi and some plant-like creature. Welcome, Naruto-kun, Itachi said quietly, chuckling. So quiet that if it weren't from the petrified faces of everyone, no one would have heard it. I've gotta say, Naruto started carefully looking at every single member of the Akatsuki, keeping in mind to remember every detail he could. He looked around and saw that every single person adorned the traditional Akatsuki cloak, black cloak with red clouds. Beginning at this right, he spotted someone who was arched down. Naruto couldn't see much of him as he had his face covered with a face mask, similar to Kakashi in fact. Behind his body he had a tail menacingly waving. It was a long mechanical, scorpion-like tail. Next to him was a blonde man. He had slanted blue eyes and very long blonde hair which he wore drawn into a half ponytail with the rest hanging down freely. The bang hanging over his left eye. He also had mouths in each of the palms of his hands that seemed to freak Naruto. Naruto quickly realized who this was from his appearance. He was Deidara the Bomber, Srank Nukenin from IWA. Standing next to Deidara was a person Naruto knew all too well. Said person was Tobi, whose only visible Sharingan eye was narrowing at Naruto. Naruto could feel his hatred for the blonde and Tobi was watching him very carefully. Tobi only shivered as he looked at the smirking face of Naruto. Everything about him screamed Uchiha Madara. His posture, his appearance, and the way he fought. If it weren't for their different personalities, they could pass for twins. Naruto continued looking around and near Tobi was something. He had 2 large Venus flytrap-like extensions that envelop his head and upper body, giving him a plant-like appearance. Said extensions were slightly opened at the top, revealing what seemed to be a head of a person. Although this head was half black and half white, split perfectly in the middle. He had short green hair and yellow eyes. Naruto repressed a shiver after seeing the weird things Akatsuki had but continued. Naruto looked towards the remaining members standing in front of him. There were 2 members that he already fought and knew well. Hoshigaki Kisame, Nukenin of the Mist Village, wielder of the Samahata, and Uchiha Itachi, Nukenin from the Leaf Village and master of the Sharingan bloodline. Nothing new there, so Naruto turned his attention to the last 2 members. He was surprised to see a female in such group but observed her as well. This woman had blue hair, amber-colored eyes, lavender eyeshadow, and elaborate piercing. Although everyone seemed shocked to see Naruto appearing in the middle of the cave, she had a neutral face. Naruto shifted his attention to the last member of the group. The last member stood in the middle of the cave. He had spiky orange hair and bore 6 piercings, a metal bar through each ear, 3 studs through the side of its upper nose, and 1 spike stud on each end of the bottom lip. He also wore a metal headband with the scratched symbol of aim. The thing that caught Naruto's attention was his eyes, silver eyes with several concentric rings around his pupil. The Rinnegan, Naruto thought to himself, narrowing his eyes at what he inferred to be the leader of the group. This is bad, Naruto Kurama called the attention to his partner. Naruto made a mental acknowledgement. Look carefully to where you are standing, Kurama said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow but looked down all the same. He and everyone else of the Akatsuki were standing on top of big fingers. Naruto carefully observed where these fingers were connected and saw that it were hands. Naruto jumped down from the finger and stood in the middle of the cave, facing every member and getting a good look at this statue. It was some kind of earthen-colored humanoid entity with most of its body looking decayed. It had 9 eyes, although the eyes were all closed for some reason. Its back also has a number of spike-like protrusions. The statue hands were also chained together. Is this the Geto Mazo? Naruto asked, shocked that this statue was summoned. But Naruto wasn't wrong. He could feel the statue, something that only someone with the Rinnegan could do. This is bad. Very bad, Naruto thought, pondering what to do with the things he learned. What do you plan to do? Kurama asked, also concerned. There was only one reason to summon the Geto Mazo from its resting place in the moon. And that reason was to awaken the 10 tails. Let's take things slow. I planned on getting as much information as I could, but I never expected a Rinnegan user and the Geto Mazo. Let's see how things work out, Naruto thought before gathering his thoughts. He couldn't look surprised or worried about the events. He had to be seen as someone strong and undisturbed by the revelations. This is a nice setup, Naruto said out loud, breaking the stupor of every member. The rings allows anyone to shift the consciousness onto the destination and even give these illusions the ability to channel chakra to some degree, Naruto said, looking intently at Pain's eyes. Sharingan boring into the Rinnegan. Where are Kakuzu and Haiden? Pain asked, narrowing his eyes at his prey. I don't know where Kakuzu went, but I believe I saw a few ashes of Haiden flying around, Naruto said, chuckling while Pain's anger exploded. You will pay for that, Kyuubi, Pain stated, but Naruto didn't seem much affected by it. You've got some balls, brat, Kisame said, chuckling. Why, thank you, but I don't swing that way, Naruto said, smiling, making Kisame scowl. So I take it you are the leader of the Akatsuki at having the Rinnegan and all, Naruto said, making Tobi narrow his eyes at him. Very well, I shall indulge you. I'm the leader of the Akatsuki, I'm Pain, Pain stated. So you're a masochist? Naruto asked as Pain's eyes twitched and Kisame bursted out laughing. Leave it to Naruto to make fun of strength shinobi after him. I wonder what Kananshin would say. Naruto innocently asked, turning to the purple woman who flinched at the name. So I was right, Naruto thought to himself when he saw Konan flinch. He almost missed it, but his Sharingan caught it. How did you know? Kurama asked, curious about his conclusion. The Rinnegan doesn't simply drop from the sky. You remember Erosenin told me about the Rinnegan and the AIM orphans. There aren't many people who fit the description of Yahiko and Konan, and for 2 of them to be in the same room, and with one of them having the Rinnegan, I took a shot, Naruto explained, and Kurama chuckled. The brat was clever. So I was right about you being Konan, Naruto said as Konan narrowed her eyes at him. Jiraiya said that you died along with your friends, Naruto said. Jiraiya sensei knows nothing, Konan neutrally replied, but Naruto shrugged his shoulders. And you, Naruto said, turning to Pain, you are disgusting. To think you would drop so low to use your own friends as paths, Nagato, Naruto said, and Nagato's eyes widened. This is bad, Tobi thought to himself. Nagato should have dropped the meeting the moment the Kyuubi brat appeared, as to keep secret everyone's identities, but now is too late. Behind that goofy attitude of yours lies a very bright mind. You are much smarter than you let on, Pain stated, getting a smirk in return. Deception is the way of ninja after all, although you seem to have the wrong thoughts. Naruto started, you think that this is a story where the bad guys are all powerful and know everything while the hero knows nothing and struggles to victory, Naruto said, laughing. No, Naruto said in just above a whisper, in this story, I'm the villain, Naruto said, laughing as his Sharingan glowed a menacing red. Your plan will never work. From the moment you left me alone to train, you cemented your defeat, Naruto said, smirking and releasing killing intent. No one can stand to the power of a god, Pain stoically said. Was I like this? Going on about being God Almighty? Naruto thought to himself as Kurama only nodded. Even gods die, Nagato, Naruto said. Although I'm curious about what your plans. Why do you want the bijou for? Naruto asked, playing the ignorant role. With the power of the bijou, I'll create a weapon that would destroy every nation. With it, no one would ever dare to attack one another. With this weapon, under my rule, there will be peace. A never-ending peace with no bloodshed, no wars and no hate, Pain said, and Naruto was surprised to see that he wanted peace. Peace through fear is nothing more than an illusion, Naruto seriously said, his goofy attitude gone. After all, the Rikudo did ask for any descendant to try and achieve peace, and Naruto would do his best. Through fear and pain this peace will last, Pain said with confidence. No, it won't. You will cage people and eventually their animal side will come out, Naruto explained. It doesn't matter in the end, as you will never be able to finish this weapon, Naruto said. Once you experience true pain you will understand why this world is doomed without a god to watch over it, Pain said, and Naruto turned him off. You will understand it, so Naruto was saying, but quickly shut up and turned to the plant-like thing on the room. This chakra. That thing has two completely separate chakra signatures, Naruto said, focusing his Sharingan at Zetsu. Tobi watched silently as Naruto observed Zetsu. Tobi could see Naruto's eyes glowing and he concentrated on the plant-like creature. Your chakra feels familiar, Naruto said towards Zetsu, who remained silent. Both of them, Naruto said, and Zetsu was surprised. Who are you? Naruto asked. I'm the white Zetsu and I'm the black Zetsu, Zetsu replied, and Tobi turned surprised towards his pet. Why did you answer him? Tobi curiously asked. I find myself in a pickle, the white Zetsu started. Madara-sama created me and, as such, I'm obligated to answer to him and his blood. On the other hand, he told me to obey you, so. Can you understand my situation? The white Zetsu asked, completely unaware of the different reactions he got. Conan was right. He isn't Madara, Pain thought to himself, narrowing his eyes at Tobi. Interesting, Naruto said as Tobi narrowed his eyes towards Naruto. I know now why you feel so familiar. Your black half, your chakra is very similar to mine. If I had to guess, I would say that you were some clone of Uchiha Madara himself, Naruto stated, and Tobi had his eyes widened. Censors were a real pain in the ass. Yes, Zetsu was replying but didn't get to finish as Tobi used his Kamui and warped him away into his dimension. I look forward to talking to him again, Naruto replied, and Tobi was furious. Zetsu was supposed to be his most loyal pet, and now he found out that Zetsu was primarily allied to Madara. It looked like that Madara and any descendants' orders took priority over Tobi's. Another thorn on my end. I might have to call him back sooner than I thought, Tobi thought to himself. Is it not strange? Naruto asked, but Tobi got confused how easily loyalties can change, Naruto said, chuckling. Tobi. Where are you hiding, Sasuke? Naruto asked, and Itachi's head snapped towards Tobi that he almost broke his neck. Itachi still thought that Sasuke was behind bars at Konoha. It appears that the Hokage kept things hidden better than he thought. Eyes like his are rare, but what is it you expect to achieve here? Tobi asked. Nothing much, Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders, just to show you that no matter how much you try, how harder you try, that you will fail, Naruto said, smirking. Big words for a 17 brat, Tobi asked. You forget that I just decimated 2 of your members. Besides, I'm not alone, Naruto said. Ah yes, Hyuga Hinata, Tobi said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes at his tone. It would be a shame if something were to happen to her, Tobi playfully said. Don't let him get under your skin, Kurama said, and Naruto nodded, knowing it was very true. You won't do anything to her, Naruto simply said, and Tobi raised an eyebrow, and I know this because you are a coward, Tobi. You would never dare to face me, and you know it very well. You hide behind that mask of yours, telling the world you're my grandfather Uchiha Madara when you clearly don't have the power to back it up, Naruto said, and everyone member turned to Tobi. You are just some Uchiha with a manjikyu and delusions of grandeur. Take those eyes away, and what are you? Naruto rhetorically asked. Some loser who couldn't handle it back in the leaf and wants to prove the world he's something, Naruto stated to the fuming Tobi. You had to resort to controlling the Kyuubi to attack Konoha, and even then, my father managed to seal the Kyuubi and defeat you. Not even with the power of the strongest of the tailed beasts did you manage to defeat my father, Naruto said, and he could feel Tobi's anger and chakra just coming out of every pore. What happened? Naruto rhetorically asked. Did you want to be Hokage but my father beat you to it? Was that it? Naruto asked, and Tobi was already thinking of swirling away towards Konoha and start a massacre. Or you couldn't get it up in the bedroom and needed a boost of morale? Naruto asked, and Kisame bit back a laugh as he thought it wouldn't be good to him if he laughed at his true leader. I will find who you are eventually, and when that day comes, you will end at the tip of my blade, Naruto said as his Sharingan swirled into his Manjikyu. You don't know who you are messing with, Naruto, Tobi stated, saying his name with as much venom as he could. I'm going to enjoy making Hinata my personal slave when I'm done with you, Tobi said, chuckling evilly. Let me at him, I'll slaughter him for insulting your mate, Kurama yelled from inside Naruto. What did you say about not letting him get into our skin? Relax, Naruto said as his whiskers returned to normal from the sudden chakra surge. Who said I'll be waiting for you? Naruto quickly replied with a smile, throwing Tobi off for a moment. Anyone else would just wait and train until the moment this group chose to come after them, but you're wrong, Naruto said, looking Tobi dead in the eyes. In this story, I'm the hunter and you are simply my prey, Naruto said with a twisted smile that sent shivers to everyone. And like any good hunter, I enjoy a good chase. I'm going to hunt the Akatsuki down, one by one, and when I'm finished with everyone else, I'll be coming for you, Tobi, Naruto said, smirking. You shouldn't underestimate us, Nagato said. The rest of the group was rather quiet and could only watch as their target threatened them with death. You may call it arrogance, but I'm not underestimating any one of you, Naruto said before he started pointing and going through each member of the group. Sasori of the Red Sands, destroy his puppets and he becomes nothing more than a jounin. Deidara from IWA, Los Class Nuke Nin, known for using clay explosives as long-range attacks. My Kamui makes him useless against someone like me. Naruto started as he turned to the remaining members. Kisame the Tailless Bijou, take away your Samahata and your power decreases exponentially, Naruto said, and Kisame scoffed. Uchiha Itachi, prodigy of the Uchiha clan, very skilled in genjutsu and fire ninjutsu. However, almost blind from overusing the Manjikyu, Naruto said, but Itachi remained silent. From Zetsu I got the feeling that he wasn't really the fighting type, Naruto said and continued on. Tobi. Take your Kamui away and you're pathetic, Naruto said. Konan. According to Jiraiya, you have some control over paper and origami techniques. Simple paper will melt before my fire techniques, Naruto said, but Konan remained silent. And finally Nagato, wielder of the Rinnegan. You are a coward just like Tobi. While he hides behind his mask, you choose to hide behind your paths. Too scared to come into the battlefield yourself? Naruto asked, but Nagato remained silent. You see, when I say that I'm not overconfident or arrogant. I know everything about you while you know nothing about my true power or abilities. Naruto said and turned to Tobi. I know you saw what I did back in Kiri. I could feel your presence the moment I entered the village. I could feel you watching me from the Mizukage Tower. If you think that was all I could do, you are sorely mistaken. That wasn't even half of my true power, Naruto said, but Tobi remained silent. I'm stronger than Hashirama and even Madara were back in their primes, Naruto explained. Why don't I give you a preview? Naruto rhetorically asked, smirking while everyone tensed. If you are coming after me, you should know the difference, Naruto said as his chakra flared and he was surrounded by a small silver layer of chakra. Even inside the small cave a small breeze flew by. Small rocks started levitating around Naruto as his hair also started to levitate ever so slightly. What's this pressure? Tobi wondered as he felt Naruto's chakra starting to increase. No, now that the gap between us, Naruto's chakra suddenly spiked and a small shockwave was felt. The ground cracked and shook as Naruto released more chakra to the point that the air was rustling fiercely. His body was covered in a powerful and bright silver aura. So bright that the Akatsuki couldn't see much but for his eyes, who seemed to glow a dark red. The ground started shaking and the cave started crumbling. His chakra flared even more and chunks of the cave started falling down, exposing what was once a beautiful and sunny day. Suddenly the weather started becoming darker as massive clouds started forming in the sky. The Akatsuki members watched with wonder the amount of chakra being released. Even Kisame, who had the biggest pool of chakra in the Akatsuki, never felt so much chakra being released. Kisame suddenly felt like a small drop of water in a large ocean. Konoha Hinata was patching up a genin who sprained his ankle while training with his team. Just keep your weight off this foot for a couple days and you will find, Hinata replied, and genin thanked her. Hinata was filling the report when she felt an ominous presence wash over her. This chakra, Hinata muttered to herself. It's Naruto-kun's chakra. But it isn't coming from the academy, Hinata said to herself and was about to drop her coat when an ANBU suddenly appeared. Hinata-san, Hokage-sama has summoned the dragons, the ANBU said, and Hinata instantly shunshined to the Hokage's office, ready to deploy. Back with Akatsuki, Naruto took one step forward and the ground cracked. The sky sparkled with thunders upon thunders that lit up the darkened cave. The whole cave started shaking even more and forced every Akatsuki member to drop from the statue. RRGHHHHHH, the statue screamed as it brought his hands to his head. The Geto Mazo suddenly got up into his feet and howled into the sky. This is bad. Very bad, Nagato thought to himself, wondering what kind of monster had they awakened. This is not possible. The Geto Mazo is reacting to his chakra, Toby thought, worried. If the statue should ever slip from their grasp, it would be over before it even began. Naruto flared his chakra even more. Trees and chunks of rock were blasted away from the ground due to the wind. Naruto's eyes glowed a menacing red as he looked towards the sky. The clouds suddenly shifted ever so slightly, revealing a small glimpse of the moon. ARGGHHHH, the statue screamed, and nature itself seemed to be scared. Everything started withering away and even the moon started gaining a small red hue with black markings. Enough. Nagato shut him down. Toby yelled for Nagato to sever the connection of the rings. If things continued on, the Geto Mazo could sync with Naruto, which would put a wrench in their plans even further. Nagato did just that and closed Kakuzu's ring. Naruto's illusion suddenly disappeared, but it didn't go alone. The sudden end caused a chakra backslash. A massive shockwave destroyed everything. The trees were uprooted, huge chunks of rock were blasted black, and even the Geto Mazo was sent tumbling through the ground. What am I going to do with him? Toby muttered to himself as he warped away, and every one of the Akatsuki was gone from the meeting, knowing full well that they were nothing more than prey. With a hunter on their trail. Back in Taki, Naruto opened his eyes to see that he was back on the battlefield back in Taki. Naruto sighed to everything he learned. He raised his right hand into the air and watched as Kakuzu's ring slowly started disintegrating into dust until there was nothing left. What do you plan to do now? Kurama asked. They learned very useful things about the Akatsuki. They knew their plan, their members, their strengths, and even weakness. We have to tread carefully. I can't afford to make a wrong move. How long do you think it would take to seal a bijou inside the statue? Naruto asked. Hard to say. It would depend on Nagato's mastery of the Rinnegan, Kurama replied. Though I have a question, how do you know that pain is a path and not simply Yahiko using Nagato's eyes? Kurama asked, wondering if Naruto made a good call. He had piercings of the chakra metal that can only be created with the Rinnegan, Naruto replied, and Kurama nodded in understanding. He can use the outer path if he's using dead bodies, Naruto stated, and Kurama nodded. He might be using bodies for every other path. And it doesn't matter how many paths we destroy unless we find the real one, Naruto mused in thought, considering what to do about the leader of the Akatsuki. Naruto was surprised when he turned around only to on the receiving end of a slap. URG, Naruto groaned as he fell into the ground. What were you thinking? Hinata asked, yelling at her boyfriend. Sorry, Naruto could only reply. Kakashi was next to you. Why didn't you bring him with you? Hinata asked, fuming as her careless boyfriend. You took on 2 Akatsuki members alone and without backup. What if you were injured and unable to escape? Hinata said with her eyes watering. I'm sorry if worried you, Naruto said, getting up and hugging Hinata. It happened so fast that I didn't think about taking Kakashi with me, Naruto quickly replied. Fine, I'll let you off the hook this time. But next time you'll be sleeping on the couch. Do you hear me, mister? Hinata warned. Yes, dear, Naruto replied with his head down. Cough, whipped, cough, Minato said, making Naruto narrow his eyes at him. What are you doing here? Naruto asked as he looked towards the dragons, with the exception of Tobirama, who was still in Kiri. After you left, Kakashikin went to explain what happened to Tsunade and she sent us as backup. I teleported everyone to your mark, Minato replied, and Naruto nodded. I could feel your chakra all the way in Konoha, Hinata said, but Naruto just shrugged his shoulders. I was just giving a preview of my power to Tobi and the Akatsuki's leader Naruto replied, and everyone was shocked. You met him? Mito asked and Naruto nodded. You won't believe this, but he's Nagato. The wielder of the Rinnegan that Jiraiya trained and thought was dead, Naruto replied, and everyone was shocked. A wielder of a Rinnegan was behind the most powerful organization around. This could spell trouble. I'll tell you everything later on. Right now I need to check up on Fu and Shibuki, Naruto explained, and the dragons got ready to leave as they weren't needed after all. Who did you fight? Hashirama asked, curious. The battlefield was a mess with craters everywhere. Hiden the Immortal and Kakuzu of the Five Hearts, Naruto explained as Hashirama had his eyes widened. So Kakuzu was still alive and kicking? Hashirama asked and Naruto nodded. You better make it up for worrying me, Hinata huffed and Naruto chuckled. I will, Naruto replied, pecking her cheek as everyone disappeared in a flash, leaving Naruto alone in the battlefield. Takakige's tower, so that's it, Fu asked Shibuki, who held his head down in shame. The moment I become more trouble than I'm worth, they just get rid of me? Fu asked, saddened by the fact that today would be her last day on the village. I'm sorry, Fuchin. You know that I love you like a daughter, but there is nothing I can do to overrule our council. I don't have the same power as the other Kages do with their villages, Shibuki reasoned, but Fu huffed. Not coming, Shibuki said, and in entered Naruto, who had returned from his meeting with the Akatsuki. The moment Naruto came inside, he felt the tension floating around. Am I interrupting? Naruto slowly asked. Fu looked pissed, and Naruto didn't want to deal with another pissed-off female, especially if she was a Jinchuriki. Not at all, Shibuki replied, motioning Naruto to come in. Let me thank you again for saving Fu and our village, Shibuki said with a small bow. Not at all. I would do anything for my sister, Naruto replied, looking at Fu, who had her eyes widened. Sister? Fu softly asked. Of course. I think of the Jinchurikis as my brothers and sisters. Very few people tolerate our kind, and even fewer actually like us, Naruto explained, rubbing the back of his head. Naruto groaned as Fu tackled him with a hug. Thank you, Fu whispered, hugging Naruto tightly. For everything, Fu said, letting go and wiping her moist eyes. I will always be there for you, Naruto said with a smile. Funichin, Naruto jokingly said, making Fu playfully hit him in the arm. Actually, I have another favor I wanted to ask you, Naruto-sama, Shibuki replied, making Naruto look at him funny. I know that you don't like honorifics, but you deserve it. Even Kages like me show respect to some, Shibuki said, and Naruto shook his head, chuckling. What do you need? Naruto asked, making Fu tense. The council has banished Fu from the village, Shibuki replied, and quickly squirmed in his chair. What? Naruto screamed in outrage, flaring his chakra. The Yambu would have tried to jump in, but they were frozen in place. I can't do anything, Shibuki quickly replied. In the midst of the battle, they assumed I died battling that immortal fellow, Shibuki replied, and Fu flinched at the mention of his death. Very few people in this village like Fu. In fact, if it wasn't for me, she would have been long gone by now, Shibuki sadly said. In my absence, the council banished Fu from the village, Shibuki said, making Naruto fume. They don't think having a Jinchuriki is worth it. Not with them being hunted down, Shibuki said. So you are just throwing her at the wolves? Naruto angrily asked. You have to understand the council's point of view. They only care for the village's best interest, Shibuki started explaining. We don't have the military force of one of the great nations. A single member of the Akatsuki killed almost 10% of our military force. We don't have the resources to fight the group should they ever send anyone else, Shibuki explained. Even so, she's one of you, Naruto replied. That is why I ask you for this favor, Shibuki said, looking at Fu. She won't stand a chance against this group. And now alone and without the support of a village, Shibuki said, looking Naruto dead in the eyes. I want Konoha to take Fu in and make her a leaf shinobi, Shibuki said, and Fu's eyes widened. You are a crafty old man, I give you that, Naruto replied, chuckling. I try my best, thank you, Shibuki playfully replied. Hello, Fu said, waving her hands. Can someone film me? And you keep talking as if I'm not even here, Fu replied. Since you were banished, Taki has given up ownership of Chome. As such, you are able to join any village you wish without any repercussion, either be it economical or military, Naruto explained, and Fu was shocked. To put it simply, you can do what you want, Naruto explained. Maybe this won't be so bad. At least I won't have to deal with these ignorant, Fu thought happily for the first time today. This is where I come in, Naruto said, breaking Fu from her thoughts. If you wish, you can join Konoha and become a leaf shinobi, Naruto explained. Are you sure? Fu asked, a little bit worried. Won't they hate me? And what about the Akatsuki? Fu quickly asked, but Naruto waved her off. For starters, they won't hate you. I already took care of that. Besides, no one will know your burden, Naruto said, and Fu happily nodded. Your concern about the Akatsuki is unnecessary. Konoha already has 2 Jinchurikis, me and Gaara. They will make their move on us eventually. And finally, you have friends there. You have me, Hinataken, Gaara, and I believe you remember Shino, Naruto said, taping his chin, and Fu quickly nodded. So will you come with me, Naruto asked. Just like that. Don't you have to ask your Hokage? Fu asked, concerned about the politics. One thing at the time. I'll take you to live with me at the Senju compound, Naruto asked, and Fu nodded. Unless of course you prefer the Aburame compound? Naruto teased. I diet, Fu said, smacking his head and quickly turning away to hide her blush. It's settled, Shibuki said, rising from his chair. I know you will be happy in Konoha, and I'm sorry for this, Shibuki said, kissing her forehead. Promise to keep in touch, all right? Shibuki asked, and Fu nodded. Goodbye, Fu asked as Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder and both of them disappeared in a swirl. Hokage's office. Hey Bachan, Naruto said as he suddenly appeared in the middle of her office. Tsunade looked up from her paperwork to see Naruto waving and some green-haired girl next to him. Where is she at, Naruto thought as his partial Susanoo flared into existence. Fu quickly hid behind Naruto as the Hokage charged her fist. Cracked. Naruto's partial Susanoo cracked as Tsunade's fist smashed into it. What are you doing, you crazy woman? Naruto yelled. What were you thinking fighting 2 Akatsuki members alone? Tsunade said, angry. Naruto groaned as he already had this talk before. At least Hinata didn't empower her slap with chakra. Hinata already said that me. I'm sorry about going alone, Naruto said, and Tsunade nodded, sitting back down. Oh, welcome to Konoha. Who are you again? Tsunade sweetly asked towards Fu, whose eyes were bulging out. Crazy old woman, Naruto thought to himself, dropping his shield. I'm Fufu, slowly said, not wanting to be on the receiving end of that punch. She's the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi, Naruto explained, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Taki decided to banish her as they didn't want to be on the Akatsuki's radar. I offered her the choice of coming to live here in Konoha, Naruto said. You can't just offer things like that without consulting me first, Tsunade said, sighing, and Fu became nervous. You aren't Hokage yet, Tsunade said, chuckling. This is a sensitive matter, so I'll take this up with the council, Tsunade explained, and Naruto nodded. I'll drop her off at the Senju compound while you summon the council, Naruto said, and Tsunade nodded, summoning an ANBU. Council room. 1 hour later. What are we waiting for? Hayashi asked as he was tired of sitting down waiting for something to happen. This is a sensitive matter, for we must wait for the whole council to be gathered. Naruken should be arriving soon, Tsunade said, and speak of the devil, Naruto swirled into existence. Sorry I'm late, Naruto said as he sat down at the Senju clan chair. Now that we are all here, the meeting may begin, Tsunade said as everyone focused on her. We are here today to decide if we should allow Fu, the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi, to become a Konoha shinobi, Tsunade said, and got many reactions. Some were indifferent, others suspicious, and some shocked. I believe that the Nanabi belongs to Takigakure, Shikako said with his eyes wide open. As of today that is no longer true, Tsunade said, and Shikako raised an eyebrow. Taki has decided to banish Fu from their village due to the Akatsuki hunting them down, Tsunade explained and motioned Naruto to explain. 2 members of the Akatsuki tried to capture Fu today. Haiden the Immortal and Kakuzu of the 5 Hearts. Since Fu had my Hiroshin kunai, she called for my help and I was able to kill them both, Naruto said, and Shikako's jaw dropped. You took on 2 rank shinobi and won? Shikaku asked in disbelief. Naruto simply nodded. Troublesome, Shikaku muttered beneath his breath. The council decided that having a Jinchuriki was more trouble than worth and simply discarded her, Tsunade stated. By being banished, Teki has forfeited the ownership of the Nanabai, leaving her free. So to speak, Hamura said, and Naruto gritted his teeth. He never liked when they talked as if they owned the Bijas like pets. Is she trustworthy? Koharu asked, suspicious of said girl. She suffered the same treatment as any other Jinchuriki. She was never liked in her village. I believe this is place where she can create roots, Naruto explained, getting a few nods in return. All in favor in Fu joining our ranks? Tsunade asked, and the response was unanimous. Then this settles it. Fu is now a proud Jounin of Konoha, Tsunade said, and Naruto smiled. Naruto was about to swirl away when all of the council heard a chuckle. Danzo was chuckling. The heaven must be falling for that bastard to laugh. I've got to say, Danzo started opening his single visible eye. I may not agree with your methods or ideals, but I cannot refute your results, Naruto. Danzo said, looking straight towards Naruto. What's that supposed to mean, Danzo? Naruto asked, narrowing his eyes at the old bandaged man. Exactly that. Since you showed yourself to the world, you brought Konoha to new heights that it never had been since the founding of Konoha. Danzo started gathering the attention of the whole council. You placed the sand in their place when you alone killed a fifth of their army, including their Kazekage. The result was a completely loyal Ichibi Jinchuriki, Danzo said. You know very well that I only meant to protect Konoha, Naruto coldly said. Be that as it may, I cannot argue with the results, Danzo said, chuckling once again. Then came the mist where you alone slaughtered almost 2,000 shinobi and defeated Yagura, the Sanbai Jinchuriki. That allowed us a complete alliance with Kiri, to the point that even if this alliance was to end, they would never think of striking Konoha, not with you still around, Danzo explained, and Naruto gritted his teeth. You make it sound as if they are our allies out of fear, Naruto replied. He didn't like where this conversation was going. Fear is the ultimate weapon, Danzo said a bit louder. Something you use very well, to the point you do it almost unconsciously. I felt your chakra all the way from Taki. I know just how strong you really are, Naruto, Danzo stated, but Naruto remained silent. And finally, you took on 2 strength shinobi and defeated them on your own. You gave a crippling strike to the Akatsuki, but above all, this has gained us something more. As yet again, you got us another loyal and trained Jinchuriki, Danzo said. You make it so that I'm conquering the world piece by piece, Naruto asked in disbelief. You may not want to believe it, but when the Akatsuki is gone, the IS word will be absolute, Danzo said, smirking. I don't want to rule the world. All I want is peace, Naruto replied. Get raised eyebrows from everyone. Peace? Danzo said in disbelief. What foolish ideals you have. There can be no peace. Not in this shinobi world unless there is someone to rule them all, Danzo calmly said. Are you trying to persuade me to conquer the world? Naruto asked, shaking his head in disbelief. And why not? Danzo rhetorically asked. You certainly have the power and mind to do it. With the power, the tailed beasts behind you, and in your control, the world could be ours. And Danzo was saying, but was interrupted. Ours? Naruto asked, and Danzo quieted down instantly. That is what this is all about, isn't it? Naruto rhetorically asked. You don't want peace. You want a throne, Naruto said, and Danzo returned back to his stoic self. To think the teachings of Hashirama and Tobirama were wasted on someone like you, Naruto said with a sneer. You are mistaken. I don't wish for the world, Danzo quickly replied. I only wish for the longevity of Konoha. Nothing more, nothing less, Danzo explained, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. That sure wasn't what Naruto got from that. You follow the same foolish ideals of the third, Danzo started. The Hino-ishi, will of fire, is nothing more than petty words. The only thing that matters in this world is power. That gives someone meaning, purpose, and the means to achieve what they want, Danzo said. Which is a throne in your case, right? Naruto asked, and Danzo remained silent. My ancestor wanted peace. Not peace through strength or fear, but through love and understanding. Something that you will never understand. This meeting is over, Naruto said, and swirled away. Danzo got up and hit his cane on the ground, disappearing in a poof of smoke. Did Naruto-san really do all those things? Choza asked, curious. Shikaku was looking at the ceiling after the whole conversation. Something about both of them was a bit off. Naruto was very focused on achieving this peace while Danzo wanted Naruto on his side. For some reason. Yes, he did. This meetings is adjourned, Tsunade said and watched everyone leave. Damn it, Naruto. You are making too many enemies, Tsunade thought to herself, biting her lip. Senju compound, later that day, and here we are, Naruto said, opening the wooden door and showing for her room. The room itself was simple and pretty much empty. It had a bed, closet, a table, and a nightstand with a few drawers. You are next to Temari, Naruto said. It's great, Naruto-kun, Fu said, hugging him. Thank you for everything you did for me, Fu said, and Naruto nodded. There is a problem though, Naruto said with a glint in his eyes. What is it? Fu asked, confused. I don't think that this bed is big enough for you and Shino, Naruto said with a straight face. Get out, Fu yelled and pushed Naruto out of her bedroom, slamming the door shut. Naruto chuckled and made his way towards his room. Squeak! Naruto was broken from his thoughts when he heard a small squeak. He turned around and blinked again. In front of him was Shikamaru, all naked with the exception of his boxers. He was carrying his clothes and sandals, but the thing that caught Naruto's attention was a small black belt on his neck. A leash. You saw nothing, Shikamaru said, glaring at Naruto. Kinky, Naruto said with an amused smile as he watched Shikamaru shunshin away from his compound. Naruto-kun! Naruto heard Hinata's voice and turned around only for his jaw to drop. Hinata was standing by their bedroom door with only a white medical garb. The garb ended just below her waist, showing off her long and firm legs. The garb was slightly opened in her chest area, revealing her cleavage. You coming? Hinata asked in her best bedroom voice. She bit her finger as she repressed a blush. They had never engaged in role-playing before. Oh, I'm coming.